When people say African leaders should start thinking like Captain Ibrahim Traoré, it's not just praise, it's a warning, a challenge, a call to action. Because Traoré isn't just leading Burkina Faso, he's rewriting the playbook for African sovereignty. Now here's the twist. It's not just Burkina Faso that's taking notes. In a surprising move, Ghana, under its new president Dramani, has quietly aligned itself with one of Traoré's boldest strategies, taking full control of national gold, not just regulating it, owning it, protecting it, profiting from it. And the results? Staggering. In just 4 months, Ghana's gold board announced something that sent shockwaves through the continent. $3 billion. Yes, you heard that right. $3 billion in just a few months. But how did they do it? What exactly changed behind the scenes? And could this be the start of something bigger, a continental shift? Stay with us as we break it all down. Just a few days ago, the Ghana Gold Board released a report, and what it revealed was nothing short of historic. Between January and April of 2025, Ghana's small-scale gold exports skyrocketed, reaching over $2.7 billion. Let that sink in. Just last year, in the same 4-month window, the figure was $862 million. The year before, even lower, $670 million. We're not talking about a slight improvement. We're talking about a seismic shift, a more than 300% leap in less than 2 years. But the story doesn't end with the numbers. It gets even more astonishing when you look at the weight of gold exported. 30,479 kilograms. That's what Ghana pushed out in just 4 months this year. To put it in perspective, that's 4 times the gold exported in early 2023, and nearly double what was exported in 2024. But here's where the story turns. Because this sudden surge, it didn't happen by chance. Something or someone triggered this transformation. And what we uncover next might just change how we see Africa's future forever. Then came April 2025, a month that would shatter every expectation. In just those 30 days, Ghana's gold exports reached a staggering $897.6 million. Yes, in 1 month. That number? It wasn't just a record, it was a statement, a declaration that Ghana was no longer playing by the old rules. To put it plainly, April alone brought in more gold revenue than the entire first quarter of 2024. According to Ghana's gold board, this wasn't a fluke. It was the highest monthly gold export figure in more than 2 years. But it wasn't just about the money, it was about the weight, the sheer scale. 9,295 kilograms of gold left Ghana's borders that month, the largest single-month volume in a 28-month window stretching back to January 2023. This wasn't growth, this was an eruption. And now, the world is watching. Because what Ghana is doing is changing the game for Africa's economic future. And the question on everyone's mind is simple. What or who made this possible? So how did Ghana do it? Yes, the global price of gold is rising, but that alone doesn't explain this kind of transformation. Behind this success is a strategy, and behind that strategy, a man. Since taking office in January 2025, President John Dramani Mahama has made it clear Ghana's gold would no longer be an unguarded treasure for the world to exploit. Instead, it would be a pillar of sovereignty. One of his first major moves? Reform. Deep, structural reform. At the start of April, just weeks after Parliament passed it, President Mahama signed a bold new law into effect, one that would change everything about how gold is mined and sold in Ghana. That law gave exclusive control over gold mining and exportation to a brand new state authority, the Ghana Gold Board. This wasn't just a name on paper, it was a mission-critical agency, built to supervise, certify, and control every ounce of gold leaving the country. For the first time in decades, Ghana wasn't just digging up its wealth, it was owning it, shaping it, and commanding its value on the global stage. And all of it echoes the very mindset of another leader, miles away in Burkina Faso, Captain Traoré. Under this groundbreaking law, Ghana didn't just tweak its gold policy, it rewrote the rules entirely. From now on, a single name controls the flow of gold, Gold Board. This new state body isn't just a regulator. It's the sole buyer, seller, and exporter of all gold produced by Ghana's artisanal and small-scale mining sector. Let that sink in. No more middlemen, no more private deals, no more silent partnerships in the shadows. Local or foreign, it doesn't matter. No company is allowed to buy directly from artisanal miners anymore. And the restrictions go even further. Authorities declared that foreigners, including Western and Chinese investors, are now banned from operating in Ghana's domestic gold market. Yes, they can apply to offtake gold directly from Gold Bod, but their presence in the local value chain? Terminated. The message is clear. Ghana will trade with the world, but on its own terms. Starting May 21st, every gram of gold must be bought under a new license system managed by the Ghana Gold Board. The old licenses, once issued by the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, are now worthless. And this time, the consequences are real. Anyone caught trading gold without the new government-issued license will face criminal charges. No exceptions, no backdoors, no more business as usual. This isn't just policy, this is sovereignty in action. And as the dust settles, one thing is becoming clear. President Mahama has drawn his line in the sand, just like Traoré. The gold market hasn't just reacted, it's been thrown into a frenzy. Companies are rushing, desperate to secure the new licenses before the deadline hits. But Ghana Gold Bod has made its stance crystal clear. Local dealers come first. For the first time in decades, Ghana's own citizens, not foreign investors, will take center stage in the nation's most lucrative resource sector. Foreign companies? They've been told to step back, make room. Yes, they can still apply to buy or offtake gold, but the days of dominating the local market are over. A new era has begun. Kwame Minka, spokesperson for the Ghana Gold Bod, didn't mince words. This law, he said, will help Ghana build the reserves it needs to strengthen our foreign exchange and finally crack down on gold smuggling. But that's just the beginning. The real vision? To own the full gold value chain, from the moment it's pulled from the earth to the moment it's refined, shaped, and sold on the global market. Ghana will no longer play the role of the raw material supplier. It will be the producer, the refiner, the seller, and the beneficiary. This is more than just a policy. It's a movement, a revolution in resource control. And once again, just like in Burkina Faso, it started with a leader bold enough to say, Africa must come first. And Ghana isn't stopping there. In line with this sweeping reform, Gold Bod has now taken the next bold step, sealing new purchase agreements with 9 gold mining companies operating within the country. But these aren't just handshake deals. They're a clear message. Ghana is reclaiming its gold. Under the new agreement, every mining company that wants to export gold must now deliver 20% of that gold in the form of doré bars directly to Gold Bod. No exceptions, no loopholes. This gold? It won't just sit in vaults. It will be purchased on behalf of the Central Bank of Ghana, a strategic move to further fortify the nation's gold reserves and, by extension, its financial sovereignty. This isn't just about economics. It's about leverage, power, control. The companies brought into this historic program include some of the most prominent players in Ghana's mining sector: Golden Team Mining Company, Akroma Gold, Adamas Resources, Cardinal Namdini Mining, Goldstone Akrokeri, Earl International Group, Extra Gold Mining, Prestea Sankofa Gold, and Ganhi Mining Resource Development. These names once answered to private markets and foreign buyers. Today, they answer to Gold Bod, to Ghana. This is the architecture of a new gold economy, one where the profits stay home and the country that bleeds the ground reaps the reward. At the heart of this new agreement lies a powerful purpose: to increase Ghana's national gold reserve, and the numbers tell a compelling story. Just 2 years ago, in 2022, Ghana's central bank held 8.7 metric tons of gold. By February 2025, that number had surged to 30.8 tons, a nearly 4-fold increase, a sign of a country taking its destiny into its own hands. But not everyone sees it that way. When the government unveiled this new gold mandate, criticism came quickly. The minority in parliament voiced concern, accusing the government of creating a system that, they claimed, could fuel illegal mining, known locally as galamsey. A serious accusation. But is it true? The truth is, Ghana has been grappling with a growing epidemic of illegal mining for years, long before the gold bod was created, and the reasons are painfully real. As gold prices rise and youth unemployment deepens, thousands of young men, many with no jobs and no access to expensive licenses, have turned to mining with whatever tools they can find: picks, shovels, even bare hands. It's not just a survival tactic, it's a cry for opportunity, and a dangerous one. This underground industry has already wreaked havoc, devastating farmlands, polluting rivers, and draining Ghana of resources that should be building its future. The challenge isn't gold bod, the challenge is systemic, and the solution isn't to retreat, but to regulate, formalize, and empower. Because if the gold is there, the people will find it. The real question is, will Ghana lead that discovery or lose it? But here's the unsettling truth. It's not just desperate locals digging in the dark. The machinery behind Ghana's illegal mining crisis runs far deeper and far more dangerous. Foreign investors, particularly from China, have become major players in this underground economy. According to recent reports, thousands of illegal mining sites have been established across the country. And these aren't just patches of barren land. They're forests, rich, untouched ecosystems. They're cocoa farms, the lifeblood of Ghana's agricultural economy. And beneath them lies gold. What followed can only be described as a modern-day gold rush, one fueled not by fortune seekers, but by a network of local businessmen, corrupt officials, and foreign investors, all chasing the same glittering prize. Together, they devised a devastating plan. Instead of negotiating legal access or working within the system, they began to buy out thriving cocoa farms, not to preserve them, but to destroy them. Acres of farmland, bulldozed, generations of cocoa trees, uprooted, villages turned into gold pits. In their place, illegal mines, toxic water, vanished futures. But that isn't even the worst part, because what comes next is a tragedy that no amount of gold can ever repay. But the worst part isn't the gold, it's the greed. Because when cocoa farmers refuse to sell their land, when they stand their ground to protect what they've spent a lifetime building, they aren't met with negotiation. They're met with intimidation. Think about it. A man who's farmed cocoa for decades, whose trees have fed his family and sent his children to school, wakes up one morning to find he's being pressured, even threatened, to give it all up. For what? A quick deal, a patch of gold. It's not just a personal tragedy, it's a national one. According to current estimates, 4,726 hectares of land, that's more than the size of Athens or Brussels, have already been devastated. Gone. Swallowed up in just 7 out of Ghana's 16 regions. 34 forest reserves once protected now lie in ruins. And for what? Despite being the world's second largest cocoa producer, Ghana sees almost none of the profit from the chocolate industry. The land is stripped, the forests are gone, and still, the country remains on the margins of the global economy it helps sustain. This is the price of silence, of looking away. But not everyone is looking away anymore. But the tragedy doesn't stop at farmland. Beyond the cocoa trees, beyond the lost livelihoods, lies an even deeper wound. Illegal mining is gutting the land itself. With giant excavators, miners tear through once fertile soil, stripping away the topsoil, then digging deep into the subsoil, leaving behind vast craters where lush forests once stood. What follows isn't just deforestation, it's environmental collapse. The soil, now broken and barren, is hauled off to makeshift gold washing stations, many of them set up along rivers, big and small. And this is where the devastation turns toxic. Water is pumped, soil is washed, and chemicals are poured in. Mercury, cyanide. These aren't tools of progress, they're poisons. And once released, they don't just stay in the soil. They seep into rivers, into streams, into the lifelines of entire communities. Water once used for drinking, farming, and fishing, now turned into a slow-moving poison. What began as a hunt for gold has become a campaign of contamination, one that's killing trees, rivers, and futures. And yet, this is happening in silence, across vast corners of a nation that once prided itself on rich forests and clean waters. What's even more chilling is what you can't see. Analysts have warned that mercury, the chemical used to separate gold from soil, doesn't just disappear. Once it enters the water, it can stay there for up to 1,000 years. That means the rivers running through Ghana's heartlands, once clear and life-giving, are now clouded, toxic, and undrinkable. But the danger doesn't stop at the surface. Mercury creeps into the food chain, building up in fish, winding its way into crops, and eventually into the bodies of children, mothers, entire communities. It's invisible, it's irreversible, and it's everywhere. A leading water organization, WaterAid Ghana, has sounded the alarm, urging the government to take what they called immediate action to end the ecocide. But the warning that truly shook the nation came from within. Ghana's own state water utility made a sobering prediction. If illegal mining continues at this pace, Ghana could become an importer of water by 2030. A country once blessed with rivers, lakes, and life now faces a future where even clean drinking water must be bought from abroad. This isn't just an environmental crisis, it's a national emergency. And unless something changes, fast, the cost will be counted not in gold, but in lives lost, lands destroyed, and futures erased. Now here's what critics often miss. While Ghana's gold bod was created to boost revenue and reclaim control of the gold sector, it may also hold the key to stopping illegal mining, not enabling it. How? Not through more force, but through structure. By placing all gold trading activities under the direct control of the state, the government isn't just managing the economy, it's cutting off the lifeline of illegal miners. Under the new law, no one can sell gold in Ghana without going through the gold bod. And here's the catch. To sell through the board, you need a valid government license. Illegal miners don't have one, which means if they try to pass their gold through official channels, they'll be flagged and caught. It's a subtle but powerful shift, one that doesn't just punish the problem, but makes it unprofitable. Because when the only way to sell gold is through the state, and when the state holds the map, the key, and the gate, illegal operations begin to suffocate. This isn't just gold reform. It's a strategic chokehold on an underground empire, and for the first time in years, Ghana might be turning the tide. Of course, not everyone is cheering from the sidelines. One of the more vocal critics is S&P Global Ratings, a powerful voice in the world of finance. In a recent statement, S&P acknowledged the gold reform's success in formalizing trade and boosting exports, especially amid soaring global prices. But they also issued a warning. They claimed that Ghana's initiative to purchase gold from artisanal miners could have negative consequences for the agricultural sector, particularly cocoa farming, which remains one of the country's economic pillars. Is that concern valid? Maybe, maybe not. Only time and careful execution will tell. But while the debate unfolds, others are urging caution. Economist Patrick Stevenson, director of the Fiscal Governance and Policy Institute, believes the reforms, while necessary, must be measured and deliberate. He warns that moving too fast, especially without engaging investors, could send the wrong signal to foreign partners. There's a growing perception, Stevenson says, that some of these government decisions feel erratic, and that could scare off foreign direct investment. He adds, it may look almost nationalistic in character, and that to investors could be a red flag. It's a familiar crossroads: control versus capital, sovereignty versus stability, self-determination versus global approval. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps what we're witnessing in Ghana and across the region is the beginning of a new era, where African nations are no longer waiting for validation from outside powers, but defining their path on their own terms. Like Traoré in Burkina Faso, like Mahama in Ghana, a new generation of leaders is rising, ready to defend their land, their gold, and their future. The world may not like it, but the continent is waking up. But here's where we draw the line. We do not agree with Patrick Stevenson, because every time an African nation dares to take charge of its own resources, every time it chooses sovereignty over submission, Western analysts sound the alarm. They cloak it in concern, warnings about foreign direct investment, investor confidence, and the global market. But look closer, and it always comes back to the same fear: Africa saying no. Take Ghana, for example. Its gold mining sector, like so many others across the continent, has long been dominated by the West. It started decades ago, during the economic liberalization of the 1980s and 90s under the structural adjustment programs. Market reforms imposed by global financial institutions pried open Ghana's mining sector to foreign capital, and foreign companies came in droves. Canadian firms, Australian giants, South African conglomerates, all carving out pieces of Ghana's mineral wealth, and in 2006, the door was thrown wide open with the Minerals and Mining Act. That legislation wasn't written to protect the cocoa farmer. It wasn't crafted to empower the Ghanaian miner. It was built to welcome investors. Projects like Anglo Gold Ashanti's Obuasi mine and Newmont Goldcorp's Ahafo mine began extracting Ghana's gold on a massive scale. But here's the question no one wants to ask. How much of that gold stayed in Ghana? How much wealth was left behind? And how much was flown out, untouched, unrefined, unaccounted for? So when leaders like President Mahama start rewriting the rules, it's not erratic, it's not reckless, it's long overdue. The truth is, the majority of the big gold mining companies operating in Ghana today are Western-owned, and that's precisely why, despite being rich in gold, Ghana remains financially shackled, still forced to borrow massive sums from Western-led institutions like the World Bank and the IMF just to meet its basic needs. It's a bitter irony. As Mahama Ayariga, majority leader in Ghana's parliament, put it bluntly, "We are sitting on gold, yet we are starving." His words cut to the heart of the issue, how foreign financiers pre-fund small-scale miners, take the gold abroad, and never return the wealth. So the solution for Ghana, and for Africa at large, is not more foreign investment. It's not more open doors. For decades, African countries have welcomed foreign investors with open arms, believing foreign direct investment would bring prosperity. But now, the question must be asked, after all this time, after all these promises, what does the continent really have to show for it? The mines are deeper, the land more scarred, but the people still waiting, still struggling, still starving, on a land full of gold. All the government needs to do is to remove control of the sector from Western companies and take charge of it. This is what President Traoré and the leaders of the AES are doing in their country. It might not mean kicking them out completely because these companies have made considerable investment. However, it means setting terms that ensure that the country gets the best from its resources. A good example of this is what President Dramani's government has done by setting up the Gold Board and stopping foreign companies from trading gold in the country. And we can now see the result of such measures. In just 4 months, the country's gold exports have hit $3 billion. In April alone, Ghana's gold exports hit more than 2,024 first withhold exports. If this continues, there is no doubt that the trend will continue to increase. Every African country needs to follow this trend. But even beyond taking charge of their resources, Ghana can invest in more gold refineries owned by the state or in partnership with other local investors. This way, Ghana will benefit more from its gold. This is what President Traoré is currently attempting to do in Burkina Faso, and already has started to gain significant achievements.